that we are making a bullish run. There's not much bullish here. We're still just kind of stepping here, and we have a little bit of supply here, right at this level that we're on right now, like 3924. So if you guys just look with the naked chart. Now, let me just change this color real quick. You guys will notice that there's right at that level, kind of where we rejected, very close to it. 3927 has a little bit of rejection. There was some liquidity there, so let's see what we do, right? So there's a high chance that we could reject there. If we break this level and retest it, then, you know, even here, you have a little bit of a supply being created. So 3981, which I believe is a level that we have based on our volume profile, and we'll take a look at it here. Yep, so it's right there. So we have 3968. Well, and then if you grab this around it, we'll get that level where the major supply is, right? And then if you look at on the higher time frames here, even on the monthlies. So if you look at it on the monthlies, we have a nice little trend line on the monthly chart right here. So I would probably, I'll be fair, and I'll put it right here. So, you know, you have kind of tap here, tap here. If they really wanted to go here, you're looking at about 4,100 somewhere where they could intersect with that trend line. So just something to keep in back of your head, right? As you guys are trading. Because right now, if you guys look at this kind of through the channel, you know, I'll put it somewhere around here. So now you're here, right? So you have a nice little channel down, you know. For me, the reversal would happen once you take out this 43.38. This is where I would say, hey, the structure is changing. Or if you make a monthly higher high here than previous, which is 41.82, you might be breaking this channel. Then I'll be changing my stance on the market. But as of right now, we're still bearish, and I'm hearing a lot of people, you know, their commentary on Twitter and whatnot, that we are changing the course. I don't know what we changed yet. You know, if you look at it on a daily, we made a higher high here. Here we made a higher high, right? But it's not really a major higher high. If you can take this guy out 43 to 27, that's where my behavior and, you know, the market sentiment would change. Just keep that in mind. This level right here. Okay. And now if we take a look at the most recent sell-off, you could take a look at this, and it's pointing kind of 39.60 level-ish right here, 39.63. So all I'm grabbing is this candle to this one here, and everybody should know why I'm only grabbing this candle so far and not going all the way down. Does everybody understand that?
No, can you explain it?
You want the sellers above?
Yeah, I want the sellers above, guys. Here we're making lower lows, but the impulse move is between here and here. The impulse move stopped once you started making some, you know, you're making lower highs, but there's a lot of buyers here. So if I shift this and go to here, this POC obviously did not shift much. In most other cases, if I was to grab, let's say, between here and here, excuse me, sorry guys. If you grab from here, for instance, to here, this is the impulse move, you know, this is your level. But then if I grab same thing from here and I grab it to the bottom here, it's probably going to shift a little bit on that POC. And you guys see that, you know, the shift happened, and that's where we rejected last time. So when you're grabbing, you know, there's no right or wrong way, but I want to know where's majority of the, you know, volume when the sell-off occurred. I don't need to know where's the volume when it reversed. I want to know where the sell-off was when it went down. But if I'm grabbing too much candles like I am here, right? I'm grabbing candles that are in a range right here. So if you guys look, you know, I'm grabbing these candles right here. So the range was 38 to 34.94, which is good if I cared about rejection in this area. But since we're above this area right now, I don't really care to know about this area too much. So that's why I'm not grabbing it. And hopefully that makes sense. Okay.
Thank you, Shorty.
Yeah, thanks for explaining that.
And this will be a pretty big level tomorrow, guys. I'm pretty certain this is going to be big. And then this rundown value area high, you want to make sure you guys have this on your chart for tomorrow. Not maybe tomorrow, just because I expect the algos to be quiet. Just because of the FMOC, because they probably don't know what's going to happen until probably in the morning. They're going to find out and they're going to tip their hand. Man, why is this yellow? So these levels are fairly important when you just look at it here, 38.40. And I always say, put a range around it, right? It's not necessarily a single level. Don't ever trade anything as a single level. So here you're looking at 39.60. And if you look at the volume distribution around this, let me just grab my, I would probably go somewhere like this to be my range. So the top of that range is 39.80. And remember that 80 level, the earlier from just the candle perspective, it was right here, right? If you guys recall it, it was right there, 39.81. So that level is fairly important, right? I would think there's a nice supply here, and they accumulated there. And if we crack over this, if we go over 39.60, then we know we have a nice little range right here, all the way to the value area high, and you guys see the skinny belly here. So this skinny belly should help you understand how quickly we can go. Did I look at this? Oh, okay, sorry. It should quickly tell you how fast we can move through the zone if we are able to hop over it. Does everybody see that? So that's something you want to pay attention to tomorrow. This zone here becomes really, really, really fast. And, if we can get over that, come back for a retest, I'll be cautious of this trend line just because it's a monthly trend line. I would keep an eye on it. And as you're approaching that, you want to take some, if you're in a long trade, you want to take something off. You don't want to necessarily take a gamble where you come to that reaction and phew, you're caught, sitting on back of your heels, and then you lose all the potential money you could have made if you're long from this level. So I'll definitely watch this, and then if you guys go on a bigger scale, right? So I only grab this right here. You could grab all the way from here to here and see, and look, that level is super important here. The value area high that I mentioned is also the POC. So this level is going to be, I would say it's going to be crucial if we get over this. If I was to bet my money and, if we are able to reverse this level right here, break above this level, I would say that we have a strong chance to go to 4,500 if we can hop over this level. So this level here, it tells you the importance, at least in my opinion. This level is super, super big. So this is a major, major level that I would, let me just mark it that way. Hopefully that doesn't confuse you guys, because this is all-time high. Okay, so this is a really big level here. I would definitely watch that. Excuse me, I don't mean to cough in your mic. So definitely watch this. And then this is one of my favorite shorting setup too, is when you come here and you're hitting a major trend line. You're hitting a major monthly trend line, and you're hitting a major, major supply. This is, this is a really good setup for some swings into December or later to buy some, right? So since we're in November, you got to be buying some more time now. When we were in October, it was okay to buy, December, but now that we're in November, you're looking maybe even for January and even February puts right now. Just keep in mind, don't get caught on the short side and not enough time on it. So ideally, if they do this, I mean, this is really good because then it could potentially drive it all the way to here. So this is something you guys want to be watching, the supply here. It's pretty big supply here. And if you guys just look at the price action, just so everybody understands it. You know, you come back down from here, you're bouncing at this level again, you bounce again here, you know, and then you crack it, and then you reject it. Here, you tried to hold it. You guys see this little area? You tried to hold it, you lost it, and look what we did. Once you lost it, you came back for a retest, and you made a new low. Why am I pointing this out? Does anyone know? Why am I pointing this specifically out here?
S2R flip,
Say it again.
support to resistance flip.
That's correct, but there's another thing I'm pointing out. Hopefully somebody can catch it.
A 2022 POC as well. So
No, just
Are
based
you-
on this chart here. Don't worry about anything else.
Are you talking about how strong the supply was in regards to breaking through the demand?
That's correct. So this was your demand previously. And if this supply is the supply that made a new lower low, which it did here, correct? You know,
Yes.
if it made a lower low, this tells you that this supply is gonna be really, really, really powerful. Every time you came to this supply, you had a really nice rejection or reaction to it, call it. You had a reaction here, you went above it, right? And then you got a nice reaction. I mean, this is pretty good. 41 to 4,300, I'll take that anytime. And then you got a nice reaction here, you know, 41.24 all the way to 40. So another 100 points. You dip below. I mean, like I always say, just wait, be patient, you'll come. I mean, and this gave you a lot, right? This gave you 600 points down, and it made a new lower low. It took out the previous demand that caused the break of the higher highs. So this demand broke previously, and it made a higher high, but not for long, came back, retested it on the bottom, and then it failed at this supply. Okay, so now you're coming back to this supply, and if it makes a higher high, if we go above it, what does that tell you about this demand then?
Greater than the supply.
It's greater than the supply. Then what happens? What they would probably do long term is they would go over this, right? If they go over this right here, if they come back to a new supply or new demand that we find on this run, right? Then we would grab this and we would find whatever that potential demand is. We would take a long from that demand because it's telling you they're weakening the supply and they took it over. And that next buy at that demand, whatever that POC or, you know, high volume node is, we would go along there and kind of proceed higher. But that's just, you know, hypothetical long scenario. For now, I'm neither bullish or bearish till Wednesday. I really don't know. I just have to play the levels that they're giving us. Okay, so any questions on longer time frames? Okay, so this is a fairly big level here, which is your, you know, from here, rundown value area high, all-time high POC, and here you have the most recent rundown POC. You know, you expect to get a reaction here as well. It is a pretty decent supply when you look at it. Okay. So let's just kind of look at the weekly. Yep. So we popped out of the weekly balance. You guys see here how we held this one. This was a good support here. And now, if this one did a job right here, what do you guys think could happen on this one right here?
bounce.
Okay, so right out of the bet, the market's telling you something. Who can summarize what it's telling you?
We are out of
What do you
last
think?
week's balance area, and now if we come back to it, we can play the retest on the long side. But if it breaks and go back, then in that we can play the retest on the short side towards down.
That's correct. So there's a couple of plays on the longer time frames, and I'm talking more you know, whether it's swings or whatever you guys want to do. So just for a lot of guys, whether you're, you know, and ladies, if you're new, your first reaction here is to go long. And the key point is that you have a stop loss somewhere, you know, below based on the shelf, whether it's this one here or, you know, whether it's a wick, like right below this support here, something like that, right? We have a, let's say 10 points stop loss. This is your one entry. I just want to re-emphasize how to basically gauge when you get in, get out. This is your long entry. Your short entry is you get in and then you short here. This would be your short side of the weekly balance, right? That means you would get into the weekly balance and that's it. And then you short it from here and then you have, you know, about 80% chance you're going to go to the, you know, about 200 points down. Is that 200? No, 75 points down, sorry. So that's a bearish setup. And then if you look at this POC here, right, this would be your first what?
Long.
It would be your, if you're short, it would be your first target for exit.
Target.
Yep. So this would be where you exit. And Rumi, when you're trading, and if you're not looking at your P&L, you don't have to worry. If you get inside previous week value high or previous day value area high, there's a really, really high chance you're going to push to the POC. And if you go back test it, you will see how many times you achieve that. You know, is there ups and downs? Yeah. You know, is it going to try to go up? Yeah, of course. But it doesn't mean you need to sell immediately. That's if you don't size up. If you don't size up, then it gives you a little bit less stress, right, to trade. And you have the ability to kind of go longer because, you know, your position and risk is not huge. Okay. So this is our weekly. We're out of the weekly balance. And then what I like to check, as you guys know, is just to check the 7-day balance, see where we are.
It's the same, man.
Is it the same?
It's like Monday, isn't it? Yeah.
This one, yeah, it is. Okay, because it should be from this day, but it has how many more days? It would have 2 more days, right? In this one. This is not a set 7-day balance then.
I don't know, man.
So it'd be 23rd, it would be 5, it would be setting on Wednesday, it would be completing.
Shorty, can you clarify something for me?
Yep.
Did you just say that the 80% rule works even on the weekly value area?
Yeah.
Does it honor every? How far, like, or how big of a block would you consider, you know, the value area, the 80% rule to be honored? I mean, would you even honor that on a monthly?
You would, but that, you know, remember the longer the period, the more risk you add too. Because then you have to buy, you know, you're swinging at that point, you know, even weeklies, you're swinging. If you go on monthlies, there's a lot of levels in between, and you have to be really trusting what you're seeing in your picture to do that.
Okay.
Because if you look at monthly, for instance, and we'll get there. When we look at October, right, it's almost done. You'll see that, you know, there's a lot of stuff in between. So when I look at this one right now, let me make sure. Yeah. So this is our monthly, right? So here's your September POC, and we're kind of like right on it. That's where we rejected, I would say. You know, 39.28. You know, draw the zone around it, and you have this, right? So this is your September POC. You know, and if you draw this little thing around it, right here. Look where we rejected. We're right there, right? And then you have, you know, September, you're inside of September area right now. So if you can hop over this and then this level here, because this could be a trap. You hop over September and you run, you know, 50 points and then you get smacked here. So this could be another trap that market makers are potentially setting up, is that people see a major shelf here, right? You see a rejection here, a rejection here. You hop over that and everybody would be thinking what? In retail world, they would be thinking what level? If I hop over 39.30 and 39.70, everybody here, if I, let's say I break this level that everybody's watching probably here, what is it, 39, 36? If I'm able to break that, they're probably going to be thinking, man, 4,000's coming. Right?
4,000.
And, here they could be setting up a trap where everybody buys 4,000 calls and higher, and then they smack you from here. So that's something to watch out for, right? Can you regain the September POC? If not, this is where you got a nice little sell-off before, and this is your first visit back. This one here doesn't really count. You went down, you're coming back again to it. You accumulated, you're driving the price back up, and it's hard to tell what they want to do just because of the politics on the side that's happening right now, right? Because you have the midterm election and whatnot, and they can play around with some stuff right now. So. Okay. So this tells us out of the weekly balance, we're inside of the previous monthly balance, and we are right at the POC. So far, the message is fairly clear. And if we look at go here for a second. So if we go here right now, if you guys look at it, so we're inside of this week here as well. We're inside of the balance there. We're above this POC, which is 38.92, and then inside of this balance as well. So this week of September 22nd till we're inside of that balance, and that POC lines up to be with the rundown POC as well. And if you guys look, this is your cluster, where a lot of volume came. And if I was to just grab this guy right here, it should give me the same idea on this POC. So you're looking at potentially even 39.55, because I'm just looking at this sell-off right here now. This majority of the volume was at 39.55. Okay, so I think that's good. On the higher time frames, we'll just switch real quick to SVP. Oh, that is a nasty profile. Yeah, definitely a short cover rally, but that is a really poor structure. Do you guys see anything here that's interesting that would confirm your shorting?
Right at the end of the day, big red volume.
Yeah, so the volume, yeah, at 3:30 is good right here. I think we were all watching that 30 minutes, and I kept posting a few. That's good, but the skinny belly on the daily profile here is interesting as well. Once you're able to break this previous week value area high, it's really a skinny belly all the way to previous week value POC. And then even below this rundown value area low, if you guys look, once you lose this POC, you have a little bit of support here, which is the 39.28 level, 38.28, I'm sorry, level here. And then, there's really no structure at all the way here to the, so this potential of, weekly 80% rule working is pretty high right now, in case they want to take it down. So
Shorty, you're already inside previous day value area high.
Yep.
And the PDVAL is right at 38.41. So I'm assuming, with 80% chance that it would work out, that it would go down there at least tomorrow.
On this one here, yeah. But it needs to explode outside. It needs to go above it. If it can go above it and go to the September POC again, that's not bad, right? And we're about to.
Okay, so you wouldn't short it once it hits PD value area high again? As a retest?
Because here, this move happened. You see when they popped it over?
Uh-huh.
Like they did it right at 4 o'clock. Like that test to me is not really a test. You should have done it, during normal trading days and push it up. And if you look at this volume here on this big old candle, right? I'm on 30 minutes, and you look at this volume here, 30-minute candle, and then compare it to this volume right here. Let's say here, I mean, it's twice as less volume, but the body of the candle is just as big. So yeah, I don't put a lot of effort as this is a breakout. So like you said, do you want to short it here? You could, but your stop loss should be either a recent high, which is, 8 points here, which is not too bad. 8 points is pretty good. If you do that, it's right here, or a little bit more riskier, which would be 12 points or maybe 14 points. Stop loss would be right here. So that's a lot of points there. But if you nail this from the PD value area high, you could drive it all the way down PD value area low, but this POC here should be your entry instead of this value area high, in my opinion. It's only 7 points, right? So if you look at this, you're risking a lot of potential here for a little bit of reward. So if you look at this now, would I short it here? Or would I wait for it to break POC? For me personally, I'd wait for it to break POC. Just because of the reward here, there's not much. There's not much meat, and I know they can quickly do this like they did here in this candle. And I want to avoid that.
Got it. Thank you.
Yeah. And it depends where we open, but this would be a really good short tomorrow. Right here. If we dip below here, because right now we're just bouncing off of this high value node here that we left from day prior. If you're able to break that, then we're probably going to go to 38.75 tonight. And that would be a good chance to go long overnight, put some limit orders on futures, and then drive it all the way to this POC here, which would be good, 30 points. So that's ES. Any questions? No questions. Good. And we are rejecting this trend line too, so that's pretty cool. Now watch this. There's a pop. We came back immediately. So let's see. I'd love for them push above and then to get an 80% rule on a daily. That would be the best. Are you guys clear on how to play this tomorrow and what levels to watch?
Yes.
If we come back to 38.50 here, there will be a reaction here. If you're short at some point, this is not a bad area to take some profit off. Because if you look at even, from here, if you grab this and go to the end, look at this. This is pretty stacked level here, this 38.50 level. Definitely watch it tomorrow. All right, thank you. Let's see, just quickly, 30 minutes. Let's add the SVP. Let's try and see what they did here. They had a short cover rally here, and they dumped it, and then another short cover rally here. They're really protecting this level here, 10.9. Why do I have so many PDPOCs? So this one looks much weaker than, this looks much weaker than ES.
Yeah, it looks weaker, and then the Dow futures look way stronger than both.
Oh yeah, they're picking up Dow. We're fella back inside this. Let me make sure this weekly balance here. So what's the difference between NQ and ES here? Can anyone see it?
There is no red volume at the end of it. Where we're currently at.
Don't pay so much attention to the volume the last 10 minutes. It can be deceiving. Just an advice. If you're used to looking at it, that's fine. But I don't care too much for the volume at the end.
It didn't make the recent high. It's lower than those, like, from a few days ago.
Okay, let's go back to ES for a second.
This is ES was out of last week's value area. This is inside.
This is correct.
Yep.
ES is outside of weeklies. It broke the balance on the weeklies, and it was trying to find a area balance on the next level here. And in order to do that, to find new areas, it has a little bit to run through, right? It has to break September POC in order to get to the September value area high, which I didn't mark, but it's high up there. I think it's somewhere around here, September value area high, if I remember. Let's see, monthly here. Oh man, yeah, it's right here. 4153 is September value area high. So in order to reach the extreme, it really would have to break this 39.70 and then push to 41.50. And this would probably be a good, easy short at these levels right here in this range. It's a really strong supply. Okay, so the difference is ES is outside of weekly balance and NQ still fell back inside. It got rejected and it fell back inside there. Make sure we're still on weekly. Yep, so there it goes. So I would say if we are to lose, what level should you guys short it? Anyone?
POC.
Yeah, if it loses this POC, this is an easy short. And if it reclaims this PD POC here, this is gonna be bullish, really, really bullish here. They can reclaim this, go higher, break the PD value area high. And then we have, I guess, skinny belly above. We'll remove this here. Some of these levels are no longer. We'll take a look at it again. And you would take it all the way to kind of PD value area low. Then you're looking at 50 points difference between the two. So we're inside the previous week balance here. And if you're able to break it, then you'd be looking, and when you look at the liquidity here, there's probably a high chance that they would go for this tap here. Okay. So let's see, PD value high. And you see this October POC lines up perfectly here with this level, which is no longer relevant. This is the October POC. So this is a pretty strong level on NQ here. It's September value area low, and it's gonna be October. Just gonna add this. So this level here is gonna be fairly big here. I would expect them to protect this level, but pretty much everything they got. So let's see, if we fall inside, that means there's some really aggressive sellers to push it back inside the October value area and outside of September. Does anyone see anything like from patterns perspective here?
Inverse head and shoulders.
Yeah, a nice little inverse head and shoulders building here at 11.74 neckline. Oh man, look at the value area low where it lines up with. Did you see that, Rumi?
Yes. Yep.
It's a perfect alignment here. Once they get inside the value area low, there's, 11.7 gets broken into this value area low. Pretty high chance they're gonna push it here into this area. And this will be a pretty good POC in case they do want to run it. This value area low here will be really important. How would you guys play this? Anyone?
retest of the previous week value area high as a short to the previous week point of control as my first target.
Yep. And then if we open below this, right? If you open below the POC, you want to be aware of this level here. It's fairly big level. You know, add a couple of points up and down. This is a big level here for a bounce. And if we break dip inside of this, this becomes a no-brainer here. This would be really, really good drop right here if you guys. This would be the best reward for shorting here. Just because of the points that you have and the, if you guys look at the structure between here and here. Once you lose this, there's literally nothing there stopping you. Yeah, it'll be a quick drop there. So definitely, it's a good one. Short there. What's the scenario for long?
If it breaks prior to POC, wait for the retest and go long.
Yep, you have that, and you have about 50 points between that and PD value area high. If you do break PD value area high, 90% of the time you'll get a retest on this during the day, and then go long, and then you know you could catch a nice little range here, about 100 points up. This level here is going to be pretty heavy. Run down value area low. And then let's just look at this real quick. Okay. Is everybody clear on this? There goes a little push.
I do have a question. You just removed an arrow from that POC, that sell-off POC. I was just about to ask you, how many times would you consider this a good supply zone before it's spent? Because like if I go back to something like Trader Dale, he says, okay, you know, you wait for that retest, and then after that, I'm not trusting it so much. Do you have a similar?
Lose the trust. Yeah, you lose the trust. The first one is going to be always the best reaction because the first time coming back to the kind of scene, right, the crime scene, the you're hitting. Once you tap it a little bit more, that supply gets exhausted a little bit because people are going to be selling aggressively or whatnot. So on this one here, if you look at it, you know, we came here and we quickly came back for a retest. We really never dipped. You really want to get away from that POC in order to retest it. This was a pretty shallow retest. You know, you accumulate it and then came back quickly. This is, you know, what I'm looking for. I want you to create a base. Because remember, it's about fear and greed, right? So they want you to do this. Let me find this little charting thing. You know, they want you to do this. They want to create around the bottom and then come here. And then, you know, you see how quickly the drops are versus the buildups. So let them accumulate. And these guys might be sitting with still large orders here because, you know, we haven't been here since September 21st. So it's been a month since you came back to a spot where you dropped really hard from. So I would say this is still a valid supply here. This little quick little shallow retest is not. I mean, they emptied out obviously because they made some lows, but I still think there's some here, especially with this trend line and everything lined up. If we come here and hit it fairly soon, and it could be, you know, now look at this timeline, maybe November 2nd, which should be Wednesday on FOMC day if they decide to do something funny with the rates. This could be the target here, 1213. I still think this is a valid supply, yeah, but you're correct. the more it gets hit, the more damage it takes to the orders that are selling.
Okay.
Good question. The ES push about. Okay. It needs to hold here and then it should bounce. It should bounce 3909. Okay, so any questions on ES and N cubes? Are you guys feeling comfortable with the levels and plans? And just know this week is gonna be really, if it's not volatile, it's just gonna be that, and they're gonna have spikes of 1-2 candles, because they're not gonna try to expose themselves, right? I do expect VIX to go higher on Monday, which is tomorrow. So they're gonna inflate all the contracts, and then even if you're correct, those contracts are not gonna be profitable for you because they're just gonna turn down the IV, and then if the IV is 80 and they cut it in half, now you got to make 40% somewhere else on the Greeks because the IV just dropped tremendously. So if you're going to be trading, cut your position sizing by 3/4. At least that's what I will do. And then post the FMOC will know what they're, if they're kind of bearish, bullish, and what they want to do. But there's a lot of talk. I don't know if you guys read the news about BlackRock asking the Feds to slow down with the rates, not to go as heavy, blah, blah, blah. And usually BlackRock has a little bit of a push in the US economy. And I don't know if you guys know what they own, but they own a lot. So they have a lot of influence in the government and what we should do and shouldn't do. So just keep that in mind. They're pretty powerful when it comes to influencing. So, all right, let's see. Any other tickers you guys want to take a look at? I know you guys want Tesla. We're again approaching a level here. What does this look like to you guys?
Bear flag.
It's a clear bear flag.
You see volume anomaly as well?
No, definitely volume anomaly. You're correct. If they can break this level and hold above it, that's not a bad level to go long after, because they've accumulated here. If you guys look, they've accumulated here for a minute, and then if we go here, let's look at 65 minutes. So this is kind of like your range. I would say this is your SSL high here, and then your SSL low would be somewhere. I would probably say here, because the taps, and this is your spring. We're approaching the high end of this, but we're making lower highs here. So let's see, if you're not able to break this is setting up for a good short, for a good swing short. And I just don't know the implications of the Twitter deal, whatever, how the investors are going to react. I would think it's going to be bearish just because of his focus, right? When you get Twitter and you get carried away, how much focus do you have on Tesla, right? And other boys are knocking on their doors. I just saw a commercial earlier as I was watching a football game about GMC and Chevy. They already got I don't know if you guys saw, but they already have trucks and shit lined up of all of EV cars. Like GMC has Denali trucks that are EV. Chevy's got their, the 1500s. They're all on EV platforms already built. And I think Elon is still developing that truck that he promised 2 years ago. So Yeah, there'll be people that buy that Denali truck. I mean, they'll buy it. So, if you're gonna go long tomorrow, it depends how you open, but this is your level 235 would be the level. On SPY, just naked trading. If you guys look at this, I would say you have a nice low supply here. At 390, I mean, that's, even just a number, that's a pretty good supply here. So if you guys think about it, if you read the book from, even Trader Dale, if you read the book here, what should you do here Friday based on Trader Dale's book?
At this support and resistance line?
Yep.
Well, looked like there was a supply area here, and so we're tapping it. So this I would assume, if as long as there's significant volume shelf here, this would be a good short.
Correct. Correct. So this is your SR flip here. This is your flip and the resistance, right? 390. You got away from it, right? And if you guys look at that chart, I need some stuff for you guys here. Let me see. It's kind of like this, right? So if you guys look at this chart here, you break above it, then you slowly come back up and look, this is your short opportunity here. And it's kind of opposite of this right here. You break above it, you came back, and then you go long, right? And here's the short version of it. For support, short right there. Support, support. This is ideally a tap on the short, and let's see what we do. The FMOC throws in a little wrench, right? At least it does for me on how I want to trade it. Let's see here. That's literally where the gap protection ends. So I would expect them to protect that. I'm just gonna go here. Pretty choppy value area. And if we break this level that we just talked about, there's a really high chance you're going to go to 400. This would be a really nice supply zone. And then something to notice on volume as we're pushing up here. Keep in mind we're decreasing on the volume pretty significantly here. And then if you look at the bodies of the candles, right? Hopefully you guys read the in the cooling book. If you read the bodies, right? So you have fairly low volume candle compared to this body here. Is this bullish or bearish?
Normally,
Very.
Definitely a
The
bearish
top one?
anomaly, right? So relative to the volume and the body size of the candle, this is a bearish volume anomaly right here building up. And then if you, just kind of keep going through it and look to the left. So you had an acceleration here on the volume on selling, then you're going down here on selling right here. So not a lot of selling. And then you have a stopping volume coming in right here. And they literally reverse that from that level on a daily. And then you see, whenever you have something like this, that's big candle like this, there's a lot of people that take a trick of, let me find the 50% of that candle. And usually the big candles will reverse to the 50%. And you guys see where we reversed? The big candle reversed back to 50% and then we proceeded higher, but that was the stopping volume. When you have a big volume like this and a big candle, find the 50% of that candle, and it's usually where they'll be buying again because they're finding the discount at 50% of that candle, so they just buy it there. The algos will buy. Does that make sense? Hopefully it does.
Shorty, a few minutes ago you said we have a high chance to go to that, I guess, POC. But then again, this is a good place to short. This is where I get confused.
No, I said if we break this level, you come back here and you hold 390, there's a high chance you're going to go to 400. Really, really high chance you're going to rip it.
Okay.
Yeah. So is this a level easy to short? I'll probably say no, just because of the way the market's been behaving, right? From here to here, based on volume, we're making a lot less volume here and pushing up. And if you look at weekly, it's the same story on the weekly. You have candles building down, and this can go on, right? They can push this. This is only on, I would say, third week right now that we're moving up. And you see here on the last rally that we moved up from June all the way to, I would say, August 22nd. So about 2 months. So, I mean, there's potential we could continue going higher here. But this POC is going to be important at 400. And if you grab this whole thing here, you guys see that we rejected right at this level before. So in order for the market structure to keep shape, where's the probability for a rejection? When I say shape, meaning lower highs and lower lows. Because right now, here's your trend line. I would say this is a pretty good trend line here. 1, 2, 3 taps. So if you think about it, lower high, lower high, lower high. If it goes up here, is it a lower high or equal highs?
Equal.
It'll be equal highs. So the probability is on this side to be a rejection somewhere in 398, 400 area in order to keep the lower highs. And that also happens to be when I take the whole sell-off from here to here, it happens to be what?
POC. Oh, the low.
The value area low off plus the most recent sell-off POC. So if you were to ask me, would I short it at 390? I might take a little stab at it, but keep in mind, they might push this over and, everyone that's watching this is called the, potentially the break of structure, right? They're making higher highs compared to this little candle, which doesn't really matter. This is where, for me, the break of structure happens at 431. Once you break this, then I'll believe that, you're reversing. You're probably going to go to all-time high. But till then, the market structure is still bearish for me. This is just a tiny little retracement, just like you did. Here, you retraced 19%. Now, if you retrace here, there'll be 14% retracement. So there'll be smaller retracements in a really bearish environment. So it should be pretty powerful for some long short opportunities for longer periods. I'm going to grab this on the daily.
Wanted to ask quickly if you had any rules about the time frame when you're or the fixed volume profile and the time frame you use when you're doing these arbitrary swing lows, because like normally I know we have our 30 minutes for session volume, hour for week profiles, 4 hour for monthly. Do we have any rules for something like months worth of sell off or things like that?
Yeah, I mean, so I gauge it and I look at the data, right? So from August to where I grabbed this one, for instance, it was August 17th till September 30th. So I would say that's roughly what, a month and a half, maybe a month and 10 days. So for me, that's a 4 hours look again. It doesn't really change much in terms of the data. Even if you look at it on a daily, it won't shift much. So as long as you're within that month, even close to 40 days, I'll use the 4 hours. Okay. 4 hours is pretty good. Good question. So this level here is going to be brutally important. If we break this, then they might trap some more shorts, and this would be the level of infliction here. They might regret getting to this level. This would be a really, really big supply here. And for a lot of you that want to trade SPX, honestly, you don't need to. On Friday, the SPY calls 394s that I had, they went from, I believe, like 69 cents all the way to 420. So think about it. If you bought 5 of those at, let's say, $350, I mean, you made some decent money there. So you don't have to force the SPX. They're a little bit more volatile and they might make you regret it more. I strongly suggest SPY, and if it makes you guys feel better, I can trade SPY with you guys instead of SPX. If you're trying to grow your account, at least 5K before you take a look at SPX, but SPY is just as good, guys.
If you would trade SPY with us, that would be amazing.
Yeah, I can trade SPY.
Yes, of
I
course.
agree.
I agree.
Yes, please.
SPX is pricey, bro.
Yeah, me
SPX
too.
is pricey and the moves are, I mean, I think on Friday or if it was Thursday, I forgot. I think we got into 3,900 calls and it was 30 seconds. It went from 155 to, I think
Yep.
it was 28.
They hit like 3.5. Yeah, we were playing those all day.
Yeah, I played them that one time and then I was done.
I think. Good call.
Yeah, but I mean, SPY pays as well, guys. I mean, I don't know. I mean, for me, SPY is good. Okay. Anyone else? You guys got anything you want to take a look at?
AMD, please. They have earnings on Tuesday.
AMD is going to do great on earnings. So if you guys look at AMD here, watch this. Anyone see anything interesting here? I've shown you this before it happened. Hopefully you guys remember it. Watch this now. You guys remember, whenever you break out a level, an accumulation level like this, we will come back to it. And we finally came back to it, right? So right now, we saw an acceleration in selling volume. We still haven't created a base again here. They still haven't loaded up. They're still going to be volatile. You can expect them to dump it even all the way to here, to this level to accumulate more. I would not be shocked if they pulled that off. I highly doubt they got enough here in 3 weeks. Because if they accumulated here for 446 days, I doubt they got enough here. This is not done yet. And I'm in these candles as well, so. And I'll keep adding it as it keeps going. So would I play earnings? I don't play earnings much. But I think the stock overall has potential. Semiconductors had a lot of inflow actually last week. Which was interesting. So this is pretty good. I mean, this is a good setup for AMD here. And if you're gonna go long, I would just look at honestly, the SVP and use the SVP if you're gonna be trading into the earnings. I would say you have to break that area there. Break it, come back for a retest and go long. And then you will have, I believe, a 64.60, something like that, 64.03. Once you break this, you'll go to 64.03, and then I am pretty sure that they would dump it from here to get, I mean, look at the accumulation here on, in a couple of days, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, before they made a move higher. And then, they brought it back in, and then there's short covering rally here. So I don't think they're done selling here. I think they're gonna bring the price back down a little bit here, probably 54-ish, 55 level. If I was to gamble, I would short it. This would be my long here. The only play I would go is this. And then short. You know, if we're able to break this, you could short it from the POC, or if it comes back to the value area low, high chance you're gonna get this. So 61 to 59, probably not bad. And then you can also do what when you have a range like this? Who's got the answer?
The fixed range volume profile of the whole range.
Yeah, just look at the fixed range volume profile, and we're out of the balance, right? And you're coming here, which is almost your gap protection right here off of this candle. I honestly think they're gonna dump it, but
What do you mean by gap protection?
so usually when you have a volume, right? So if you look at this volume here, let me just delete everything so you see it. So here, you see the skinny belly starts immediately after this level right here. I don't know why it goes back to yellow. You see after this candle, there's really no volume that comes up until almost right here. I would say right here. So your shelf stops here, a little bit of candle, and this volume was here, not much, and it could be also from this one, but not a lot of volume shelves. And if you wanted to kind of play this, you could go even to this last one. So they're going to defend this area. The short sellers are going to be defending this area here. Whether it's this one or this one, they're going to be defending, but we haven't been able to break this level right here, which is 62, and stay above it. And then if you look at the 2 hours, look at the volume. So it's not the best volume, and I would think we're going to dump from here. So does that make sense on skinny protection?
Yes, thank you.
Yeah, it's just the volume that's missing there. It's basically no liquidity here. They know if we break here that there's a high chance they're going to go to 68, and if people are short, they're going to do whatever they can possible to make sure it doesn't get into that space where there's no liquidity.
Shorty, a question for you. Does that mean that the sellers were basically able to sell without like any opposition?
Yeah, exactly.
So they're okay.
Here
So
they
that's why.
can become really aggressive because they know, how they derived to this price here. This drop is magic. This is basically your liquidity void right here, meaning there's no reason or theory. There's not much shared in here. So if we do come back here, one day we'll fill this in, and this is going to be fulfilled. This selling liquidity from here is going to be fulfilled with the buying liquidity, and it's going to match. For now, they're not filling that. I don't think they're going to fill it, but let's see.
Hey, Shorty, could you do Netflix?
Yeah. Okay, look at that. This is also moving on some thin air. Yep. It's about to crater to this level here, I would say 250s. Yeah, look at the Ashley candles here. Yeah, we're coming back to 250s on this bad boy.
Shorty, there's another thing I noticed on ES where I think we had the 4-hour clouds closing on TV, but I don't know if TOS looks the same on the upper part.
I can check. I can post them in the Shorty's corner. Let me just check them out later. Yeah, we're way too far out of the balance. And the next balance would be here at 357. So 273, and then if they break that balance right here, we're gonna go to 250 here, which should be October's value area. I would think they're headed to 273 here very soon. Are you looking short term or long term, Bean?
I was looking to short it.
No, I agree. I think it's ready. I'm just checking momentum, and the momentum is dying. I mean, look at the volume here. It's dead. And I really don't even know how they got it up there. Wasn't it earnings gap up or some shit? Yeah. They gapped it up from 250 to what? 280. Yeah. Some rich guy had the share, so he probably made it happen here. But yeah, it's gonna be coming back here. Look what we hit, almost on the dot. C18 on the dot. So yeah, I would look at swings. I don't think he'll hit the gap, VJ. I don't think it's gonna get to the gap. It needs to go down before it gets up. It needs to go to 250 to get more momentum to go to 350. Yeah, I agree.
Would you be looking?
Say again.
How far out would you be looking?
We're in November, so this would be sometimes December 16th.
Okay.
Shorty, can you check RTZ? Sorry,
RTY or RTZ?
RTY. Sorry, RTY. Put it up. Thank you.
Man, it's really out of October's value area high. Yeah, the small cap looks the best out of all of them. I mean, they broke the POC for September and they're headed for the extreme high on the opposite side, about 1800, 1885. If they can push this to here, this is a really good short.
Is this a good shot or 1926 on top of it, which is the shelf above?
Yeah, I mean, yeah, this 1910, you mean?
Yeah, 1910, 1920. Yes.
Yeah. In order, to do that, right? So first of all, they're rejecting this August value area low.
Yep,
They're not
yep.
letting it inside. Right now, if they do get inside value area low, then you have to get out of the September's value area, like the previous month. You have to get out of it, and if they do, of course, this 1900 becomes. So the way I see this 1900 becomes a no-brainer in terms of. Let's see, where is it? So if you look at this, right? If you look at this level right here, it's support. Some people would call it head and shoulders here, right? We popped, we came back for a retest, and now if you come back again to this is, it was retested once, and this low, this supply here did what?
Broke that most recent demand.
It broke the most recent demand, and it basically created new lows. So this this supply here is fairly powerful here. If they get it to that level, yeah. And I mean, this area here is going to be deadly. If it comes to this area here, it's going to be, this is a pretty deadly area here on RTY. And this is where your patience comes in, right? Some people, you know, you see a supply right here as well. So if I was to draw from here, let's say grab it to here, or I could go to the last candle. You'll see that there's some value area here high that had signal for a lot of volume just based on the shelf. If I do this, if I go through the whole thing, if you're able to cross over this level, which is right where rejected, you crossed over that, you know, you catch 40 points, but then I would look to get out. I'd look to get out of this, even though, you know, cumulatively now from here to here, a lot of your POC, a lot of your volume was on the bottom where they accumulated. But this supply is going to be heavy here. Look at it in a bigger time frame. Oh yeah. Yeah, you see this. There's a volume node here, and then you know this would be a no-brainer here at 2000.
Could you look at SoFi after, please?
Yep. Does that help, CK?
It does, Shorty. Thank you so much. I had the same level, but just want to validate with you. Thank you.
Good. SoFi, shares-wise, it's probably a good spot. They're right on the bottom here.
Do they have earnings this week also?
I'll probably bet bullish on it if I was to bet. They've been in this for a minute now.
Would you hold SoFi long term?
I have some shares, yeah. My average is a little bit higher. My average is like 630. I'm not willing to put more money, but yeah. But this was the support. We lost that. We came back for a retest. Eventually, we'll come back here, which would be 100% gain on the shares.
When would you consider selling your shares?
I would look for 100% move on it. So this would be a good level to take some off, $10.
Okay.
I'd peel some off there, yeah. The volume's slowing down here on this. Now, if we can pick up a little bit more buying volume, which they have, right? They're slowly adding some here on the bottom. They added some here. So there's some buying activity here. There's some buying here. It's not a bad spot where it's at right now. Are you looking for long-term, short-term, and options? What do you got? Whoever asked.
I was looking for options for this week.
Oh.
Looking far out, like January maybe. 8 calls.
Probably not a bad idea.
Okay.
Yeah, this is the weekly value area high. We held the bottom here, and you're holding the POC. So, you know, it doesn't look like it's much, but it could go to 567. And then you have this VPOC here on the weekly, right here, 596. So it could push all the way to this level, $6.
Yeah, there's $7 calls for January. There's 60 cents.
$7 calls for January?
$6, sorry. Yeah.
Not bad.
It's
Not bad at all. That's cheap.
Right. Even December's are cheap. 40 cents. The 6 calls are cheaper than the $5.50 calls.
Yeah, they should be.
Oh yeah, duh. Sorry, pay attention. Bear with me. I just kind of baked.
All right. What else you guys have? Anything?
Was asking about the ES 4-hour cloud. It is closed. The 4-hour cloud is closed.
The top is closed.
The bottom is closed.
Oh, the bottom is closed. What level is 4-hour bottom?
Let me see. I'll tell you just so we maximize real quick. 4-hour bottom is at 37.96, 37.97.
Oh, so 3,800.
3,800, yeah. Yeah, and that's a week, that's a daily mid also.
Yeah, that'd be a good level to end, which is also a previous week value area low. Yeah, that'd be a big level.
It's on a one candle with a waning Momo. So the 5 the full send already finished on the 4 hours. So
Yeah, but I honestly think they're gonna push this into FMOC. I would not be shocked if tomorrow they just run this up here. Yeah, this looks like they're gonna be pushing.
FSLR.
Oh my god, it's a disaster of a candle. Man, what a cluster. It really doesn't know what to do here, and neither do I.
Yeah, that's funky as well. That's why I asked.
Yeah, just not the cleanest chart to trade. If it shares you're after, I personally would not add them anywhere here. It looks pretty bad. Yeah, maybe 114. I wouldn't add them till 100 or even cheaper than that. There's too many gaps.
Okay. Yeah, have you looked at now yet?
Yeah, we looked at a few weeks back or a few days back. Let's see what they did. They broke the area here. There was supply here. Yeah, they could push this to 450 and that would be the retracement entry. Probably to 420, and then if they lose that, they'll probably go back down. But I think they had stellar earnings, so. Yeah.
Sweet, thank you.
Yeah, this would be a good level as well. The trend line, multiple hits on there, so somewhere around here, 450 would be a good level for a rejection. I don't know if anyone got shares when I did, but this has been going crazy.
I got filled at 170.
I mean, they're going insane. Right? Still in them actually, but.
Shorty, when you get a chance, can you look at Baba?
Pretty sure it's decimated. We can expect a short squeeze here soon.
Yeah, like if you look at it on like the weekly, like as far back as you can, it's like pretty much around support.
I mean, it's right at support right now. This is your all-time support. They tapped it. Tuesday. I think they're gonna run it wild, man. I think they're gonna run this to 100. Just a crazy opinion. I think the Chinese are gonna somehow position themselves to cause this to spike. I mean, this has been destroyed. I think it's like 89% lost. 82% market cap lost on this, man. Let me just check something. I mean, they're growing. I just have a hard time trusting their accounting principles sometimes. Because they're not, they don't have to follow the same ones as US companies on the stock market. If I wasn't such a scary cat, I'd probably buy some shares here. It doesn't make sense not to, just because, you know, you look at a monthly chart and you're, even if you draw pretty much like your all-time high POC here, you're below the POC and, you know, you're right at the value area low. This is where your value area is the best for buying shares. So I honestly think they're gonna bump them from here. At least bump them to this POC here. And I might take a little gamble on this, play 80 calls or something like that.
And so is the delisting talks off the table again? I know at one time. they
God
were
knows, and that's one of the reasons why I don't want to invest in them. As US can come back and delist them, and it literally plummets.
Zero.
It just there's a lot of risk, right? So maybe I'll put a couple of $1,000 in
Yeah, I know some
this.
of the companies, they were just kind of running over. They started investigating, pulled them off of the U.S. market because it was like, hey, this ain't right, and something ain't right about how they doing that. So
Yep, and they do a lot of shady accounting sometimes. I think there was a coffee company from China. I forgot the name of it. That was going
Luckin?
crazy. What was it?
Luckin
Yeah, Luckin.
Coffee.
Yeah. I don't think they're listed anymore. I think it was this one right here. Yeah.
Well, they were selling 300 cups of coffee per Chinese individual.
Yeah, it's doable. Look at this. I mean, 51, then they got caught in their lying and accounting. And look at this, guys. I mean, think about the people that own these shares at 50. I'm not saying Baba's the same way. It's just that accounting principles are different. There, not a lot of them follow the gap. Yeah, I remember this when it happened. XLF. Okay, well, this one seems to be waking up from here, from the COVID lows. Still bearish volume sentiment. I'll be bearish on the banks. So they're gonna probably push it to 36 here, 35.5, and probably reverse. A lot of banks are over leveraged, right? And all of these loans that they have, I mean, high asset value loans, when people start losing jobs, pretty sure they're gonna be picking which payment to make and which ones to not. And banks are gonna be kind of hoping they don't have as many bad loans on their books as they do. Just don't see a lot. I mean, if I was to see this, I would like to see some stopping volume here And none of these volume bars look like they reversed and stopping here. So I'd look short here long term or swing right here at 35.6. If they break that, then this 37.07 looks pretty good for shorting for me at least. Look where they bounced it.
Do you ever trade options on any other Chinese EV stocks?
What was I did trade Neo. I don't know if that's EV or not.
Yeah, that thing's shit.
That and that wasn't there XPEV. XPEV, yeah. Oh my god. Oh, look at this. It went to 70 and back to fill the gap. Pretty wild.
Did you ever trade FUV? Acromoto?
FUV?
FUV, yeah.
No, never did.
So beaten down. It was at like $60.
Oh my god.
I got in at 14 and then sold at 54 or 53, and then I haven't touched it since. But that's like what got me into trading, literally this stock.
Yeah, hopefully you're totally out because
oh yeah, for sure.
Yeah, this got decimated. Like 98% of its market cap's gone. Yeah.
So bad.
All right, guys. Well, that'll be it. Hopefully, you guys have a good plan for tomorrow. Trust your levels. I think we're gonna run overnight. I wouldn't be shocked if we open above the September POC. They want to push this. If they break 39.10, I would expect them to go above 39.30 overnight. So.
Could you pick up Macy's real quick right before you head out?
So lower high, lower low. Yeah, it's starting a bearish trend.
Beautiful. Okay, thank you very much. Appreciate it.
Yeah, it's gonna go down. I would re-add at 21.7.
Okay. Yeah, I'm already in there for January puts. So.
Yep, I remember.
Right on. Appreciate it, Shorty. Have a great night.
All right, guys. All right. Thanks, guys.
Good night, Shorty. Thank you, buddy.
Bye-bye.